The rain hadn't stopped all morning. It fell in a slow, steady rhythm over a small cemetery on the edge of town, where a woman stood alone beneath a broken umbrella. Her hands trembled as she clutched the edges of a single white rose. Around her, rows of empty chairs glistened with raindrops. No one had come. No family, no friends, no neighbors. Not even the priest stayed long after saying the last words. The sound of the coffin being lowered was the only thing that filled the silence. Her name was Maria. Her daughter, Lily, was only 22. The world had moved on, just as quickly as it had taken her away. Maria didn't understand why no one had shown up. Lily had been kind. She helped people, smiled at strangers, gave more than she had. Yet here, at her final goodbye, not a single soul had come to remember her. The wind picked up, catching Maria's hair and the edge of her coat. She closed her eyes, whispered something only she and her daughter could hear, and was about to leave when the low growl of an engine broke the stillness. A black car rolled to a stop by the gate. Its tinted windows reflected the gravestones like dark mirrors. Maria turned slowly. A man stepped out, tall, dressed in a black suit, his presence commanding the air around him. Even from a distance, she recognized him. Everyone did. Vincent Morelli, the man the town feared, the name whispered only in rumors. The Mafia boss. He walked toward her, each step heavy on the wet ground. Without a word, he removed his hat, placed a small bouquet of lilies beside the coffin, and bowed his head. The silence between them was thick. Maria wanted to ask why he was there, how he even knew her daughter's name, but her voice caught in her throat. Then, just as he turned to leave, he looked at her and said quietly, "Your daughter was brave. She saved my son." The words hung in the air like thunder that never struck. And before Maria could respond, he was gone, leaving her in the rain, clutching the rose, and wondering what secret her daughter had carried to the grave. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. The words of the man in black replayed in her mind like a broken record. Asterisk, she saved my son. Asterisk, it didn't make sense. Her daughter had been quiet, careful, the kind of girl who avoided trouble. What could she have possibly done to cross paths with someone like Vincent Morelli, a man whose name was spoken with fear? Maria sat by the small kitchen table of her old apartment, the dim light flickering above her. The place was cold, half empty, just like it had been since Lily died. A photo lay in front of her, the only one she had of them together. Lily's smile was warm, her eyes full of life. Maria traced her daughter's face with her thumb and whispered, "What did you get yourself into?" She tried to remember the days before the accident. Lily had been distant, distracted. She came home late, her clothes sometimes muddy, sometimes torn. When Maria asked, Lily always said she was helping a friend, someone who needed her. But she never said who. There had been a tension in her voice, the kind that comes when someone carries a secret too heavy for words. A week before her death, Maria had found a note tucked inside Lily's journal. The handwriting was shaky. Asterisk, if something happens to me, find the man with the red scar. Asterisk, at the time, she thought it was part of some story Lily was writing. Now, it felt like a warning. The next morning, Maria decided she couldn't ignore it anymore. She went to the only place that might give her answers, the hospital where she had worked for over 20 years. Lily used to volunteer there. Maybe someone had seen her with that mysterious friend. The nurse at the front desk hesitated when Maria asked. "Lily," she said softly. "Yeah. I remember she used to visit a patient in room 304. Wouldn't say who he was. She came almost every night." Maria's heart began to race. Room 304 had been empty for months before a man was brought in, a shooting victim under police watch. Nobody knew his name, only that he had survived an ambush meant to kill him. And there was one detail she couldn't forget, the scar across his cheek. The man with the red scar. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the counter. "Do you remember when she last came?" The nurse nodded slowly. 2 nights before the accident. She looked scared, like she knew something was coming. Maria left the hospital with her mind spinning. Her daughter had been meeting with a man marked by violence, and somehow that had led to her death. But why? She needed answers, and there was only one person who could give them. Later that afternoon, she found herself standing in front of a sleek black gate guarded by 2 men in suits. The sign beside it read Asterisk Morelli and Sons Import Company Asterisk, but everyone in town knew what it really was, Vincent Morelli's front business. Her hand shook as she asked to see him. They laughed at first, until she said her daughter's name. Minutes later, the gate opened. Vincent sat behind a large desk in a room filled with smoke and silence. He looked older now than he had at the funeral, tired, maybe even regretful. When Maria stepped inside, his eyes softened just slightly. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. "I need to know," she replied. "Why were you at her funeral? What did you mean when you said she saved your son?" He leaned back in his chair, exhaling a slow breath. "Because she did. And she died for it." Her knees nearly gave out. Vincent looked down at his hands, his voice low. 3 months ago, my son was caught in the middle of a shootout. A rival gang ambushed him outside the docks. He was bleeding out when a young woman pulled him into her car and drove him to the hospital. She stayed until the police came. Never gave her name. Just left. Maria's eyes filled with tears. That was her. She didn't know who he was, Vincent continued. Didn't care. But someone saw her that night, someone who wanted a message sent to me. A week later, she was gone. Maria felt her chest tighten. "You're saying she was killed because of you?" Vincent's expression hardened. "No, because she saved him." He opened a drawer and slid a small envelope across the desk. "She left this behind. I don't know how she got it, but it has names, places, people you don't want to cross. Keep it close, and don't trust anyone." Maria stared at the envelope. Her reflection shimmered faintly on its surface. She hesitated before touching it, afraid of what it might contain, but even more afraid of what it meant. Vincent stood, signaling the end of their meeting. "Your daughter was brave," he said quietly. "But bravery always comes at a cost." Maria left the building with the envelope clutched tightly in her hands, the wind biting at her face. For the first time since her daughter's death, she wasn't just grieving, she was afraid. Because now, she understood something she hadn't before. Lily's death wasn't fate. It was a warning. And Maria was next in line to hear what her daughter had died trying to say. Maria didn't open the envelope that night. She couldn't. It sat on the table like something alive, quiet, patient, and dangerous. Every time she looked at it, she felt her daughter's presence in the room, as if Lily were warning her to be careful. The air seemed colder, the shadows longer. She tried to convince herself to forget, to throw it away and let the past rest. But curiosity is louder than fear, and by midnight, her trembling hands finally tore the seal. Inside were a few sheets of paper, some handwritten notes, and a photo. The picture made her heart stop. It was Lily, smiling, standing next to a man Maria didn't recognize. He had a scar running from his cheek to his neck. The same man Vincent had described, the one her daughter had saved. On the back of the photo, in Lily's knee handwriting, were 3 words, *trust no one. Maria's breath caught. The papers were even stranger, lists of names, coded numbers, and what looked like transactions. Offshore accounts, shell companies, and a name repeated over and over, *Coal Industries. She'd heard of it, a massive corporation, respected, untouchable. Why would her daughter have these? And why would Vincent say she died for it? Suddenly, a knock at the door made her jump. She froze. It was past midnight. Who would be visiting her now? When she opened the door a crack, she saw a man in a long coat, his hat dripping rain. "Mrs. Alvarez?" he asked softly. "I'm Detective Rains. I was assigned to your daughter's case." Maria's heart pounded. They said the investigation was closed. "I reopened it," he replied, flashing a badge. "There were inconsistencies in the report. I think your daughter's death wasn't an accident." She hesitated, trying to read his face. He looked sincere, but Lily's warning echoed in her mind. *trust no one. Still, she stepped aside and let him in. The detective glanced around the small apartment, his eyes settling on the envelope. "Did someone give that to you?" Her pulse quickened. "Why?" "Because you need to be careful," he said quietly. "Whoever your daughter got this from, they don't like unfinished business." Maria's stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" He leaned closer. "Your daughter was onto something. Coal Industries isn't just a business. They're a cover for trafficking, weapons, money laundering. Things people kill to protect." The room felt like it was spinning. "And Vincent Morelli?" she asked. Rains hesitated. He's not clean. But he's not your enemy either. His son was a pawn in all this. Your daughter just got caught in the middle. Maria sank into her chair, trying to breathe. Why are you telling me this? Because she left something behind, he said, lowering his voice. Something worth more than all of it. Her eyes snapped up. What do you mean? Rains took out a flash drive and placed it on the table. She gave this to a nurse at the hospital the night she died. The nurse didn't know what it was, but when I started digging, she found me. Said Lily told her, if I don't come back, give it to my mother. Maria stared at the small drive. What's on it? I don't know, he said. But whatever it is, people are willing to kill for it. Before she could ask another question, headlights swept across her window, 2 cars stopping in front of the building. Rains cursed under his breath and pulled a gun from his coat. They found us. Who? She whispered. He didn't answer. The pounding on the door came a second later. Maria's chest tightened as the walls seemed to close in. Rains motioned for her to move to the back. Get your things. Now. She grabbed the envelope and the flash drive, her heart thundering in her ears. The door burst open, and 2 men stormed in, faces covered, guns drawn. Rains fired once, then twice. The sound was deafening. Go, he shouted. Out the back. Maria ran through the kitchen, out the back door into the rain, clutching the drive against her chest. Behind her, she could hear the chaos, the shouts, the gunfire, the glass shattering. She didn't look back. She just ran. Her shoes splashed through puddles, her breath heavy in the cold night air. She didn't know where to go, only that she couldn't stop. Her daughter had died for something. Now Maria had it in her hands, and whatever truth Lily uncovered was about to change everything. Maria didn't stop running until her legs gave out. She found herself under an old bridge by the river, soaked and shaking. The flash drive was still in her hand, warm from her grip. Every sound made her jump, the echo of distant sirens, the rush of water beneath her, the low rumble of thunder in the distance. She didn't know if Detective Rains was alive. She didn't even know who those men were. But one thing was clear. Someone wanted her silenced. She leaned against the cold stone wall and tried to think. The flash drive. That was what they were after. Lily had trusted her with it for a reason. But Maria didn't have a computer, and she couldn't risk going back home. Her mind raced through the people she could trust. The list was short, almost empty, until she thought of one person. Ethan. He was Lily's old friend from the hospital, a quiet IT technician who used to help fix her laptop when it crashed. Maybe, just maybe, he could help her open it. By dawn, Maria had made her way across town to the small apartment complex where Ethan lived. She knocked softly, praying he'd answer. When he opened the door, his face went pale. Maria. I saw the news. Please, she whispered, her voice trembling. I need your help. It's about Lily. He hesitated only a moment before letting her in. His place was cluttered but warm, filled with computer parts and coffee cups. She handed him the flash drive without saying much. Can you see what's on it? Ethan plugged it in, his fingers flying across the keyboard. The screen filled with lines of code, encrypted files, and folders labeled with strange strings of letters. He frowned. Whoever made this knew what they were doing. It's military-grade encryption. But, he paused, typing faster. There's a message here. Hidden in the code. A few seconds later, the words appeared. Asterisk, if you're reading this, I didn't make it. Asterisk. Maria's throat tightened. It was Lily's handwriting, scanned into the file. Ethan scrolled down. The message continued. Asterisk, Mom, I found out something terrible. Coal Industries is funding a network that controls local officials, police, and hospitals. They're using patient data to move money and cover disappearances. I thought I could stop them, but I think they found me. If you ever see Vincent Morelli, tell him I forgive him. And tell his son. I'm sorry. Asterisk. Tears streamed down Maria's face. Ethan looked up at her, speechless. She knew, he whispered. She knew she was in danger. Maria nodded slowly, her heart breaking all over again. She died trying to do the right thing. Before Ethan could respond, his computer beeped, a sharp, unfamiliar tone. He frowned. That's weird. Someone's trying to access the drive remotely. Maria's blood ran cold. What does that mean? It means, he said, eyes widening, they found us. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the air, followed by the distant sound of tires screeching outside. Ethan pulled the flash drive free and handed it to her. Go, now. I can't just leave you, he cut her off. You can't help me if you're dead. Take the drive, Maria. She hesitated for only a moment before grabbing it and running out the back door. As she reached the alley, she heard shouting and the sound of glass breaking behind her. She didn't look back. Her mind raced as she ducked between buildings, trying to stay in the shadows. She had nowhere left to go, no friends, no safety, just a tiny piece of plastic holding her daughter's final message. Then she remembered something Vincent had said. Asterisk, she left this behind. Keep it close, and don't trust anyone. Asterisk, maybe he was the only person who could help her now. Maybe that was why he came to the funeral, not out of guilt, but out of duty. As night fell again, Maria stood outside the gates of Morelli's mansion. Her clothes were torn, her face pale, but her eyes were fierce. The guards recognized her instantly. I need to see Vincent, she said, her voice steady this time. The man at the gate frowned. He's not seeing anyone. Tell him, she said, pulling the flash drive from her pocket. It's about Lily. The guard's expression changed. Within minutes, the gates opened, and Maria stepped inside. The mansion loomed in front of her, dark and silent, the weight of secrets pressing down with every step she took. As she walked through the heavy doors, she knew this was it, the moment everything would change. Either she would uncover the truth her daughter died for, or she would never leave the house alive. The grand doors closed behind Maria with a heavy thud that echoed through the marble halls. The mansion was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that carried weight, the silence before something inevitable. A man in a black suit appeared and led her through a corridor lined with old paintings and dim chandeliers. The air smelled faintly of smoke and leather. She clutched the flash drive in her pocket like it was her heartbeat itself. When the doors to Vincent Morelli's office opened, he was already standing, as if he'd been expecting her. The light from a single lamp fell across his face, carving deep shadows beneath his eyes. You shouldn't have come here again, he said quietly. I didn't have a choice, Maria replied, stepping forward. Her voice was shaking, but her eyes held firm. They are after me. They killed Rains. And they'll kill me too if I don't finish what Lily started. Vincent's jaw tightened. You have no idea what you're walking into. I think I do, she said, pulling out the flash drive. Lily found something. Something about coal industries. She said they were using hospitals to cover up disappearances, using people like my daughter. Vincent's expression darkened. He turned away for a long moment before saying, she wasn't supposed to see that. Maria's heart pounded. You knew. I warned her, he said, voice low. Told her to leave it alone. But she wouldn't. She thought she could expose them, save lives. She didn't understand that these men don't lose. Ever. He poured himself a drink but didn't touch it. Coal Industries isn't just a company. It's the backbone of everything. Politics, law enforcement, medicine. They build cities on blood money. I tried to keep my son out of it, but it was too late. Maria stepped closer. Then help me. If Lily died protecting your son, you owe me the truth. Vincent's eyes flicked to her hand, the one holding the drive. That little thing, it's worth more than gold, and it's dangerous. It's proof. The files on it, names, bank transfers, hidden accounts. Enough to burn down coal and every man tied to them. Then let's do it, Maria said firmly. Expose them. End this. Vincent let out a slow, bitter laugh. You think it's that easy? You release those files, you're dead before the news even airs. They have people everywhere, judges, journalists, police chiefs. The moment they know you have it, you disappear. Maria's voice softened. My daughter already disappeared, Vincent. And I can't let her die for nothing. Something in her tone cracked his composure. He turned to face her, the coldness in his eyes replaced by something else, guilt, maybe even sorrow. You sound just like her, he muttered. Before either of them could speak again, a loud crash came from the hallway. The sound of gunfire followed, short, sharp bursts that made the walls shake. Vincent's guards shouted orders outside. He grabbed Maria's arm and pulled her behind his desk. They found you, he hissed. How? Doesn't matter. We have minutes, maybe less. He opened a hidden drawer and took out a black case. Inside was a small device connected to a satellite phone. We can send the files, but once they're out, there's no going back. Maria's hands trembled as she handed him the flash drive. Then send them. He plugged it in, his fingers moving quickly. The screen filled with lines of data. A progress bar appeared. Asterisk uploading. 12%. 24%. Asterisk gunfire drew closer. The doors rattled. One of the guards burst in, blood on his shirt. They're inside. Vincent cursed under his breath and grabbed a pistol. Stay down. The upload reached 67%. Another explosion shook the room, spraying dust from a ceiling. Maria covered her head, clutching the desk leg. Vincent fired toward the doorway as figures in black stormed in. Vincent! She screamed. He turned, firing again, and then a shot rang out, louder than the rest. He stumbled backward, clutching his chest. The computer beeped. Asterisk upload complete. Asterisk Maria crawled toward him as the screen flashed green. The files were gone, uploaded somewhere safe, somewhere out of their reach. Vincent's breathing was shallow, his hand gripping hers tightly. You did it, he whispered. She'd be proud. Tears streamed down her face. Don't talk, please. He gave a faint smile. You finished what she started. His grip loosened, his eyes fading as the sound of sirens filled the distance. Maria looked up just as the attackers fled, realizing too late the police were closing in. The room was in ruins, smoke rising from shattered wood and marble. She stood slowly, clutching the blood-stained flash drive. Through the open window, dawn broke across the horizon. The world outside didn't know it yet, but everything had changed. Somewhere, on a dozen servers across the world, the truth was spreading, Lily's truth. Maria walked out of the mansion, broken but alive, the cold wind drying her tears. Behind her, the empire that had taken her daughter was starting to crumble. But in that quiet moment, all she could think about was Lily's voice, soft, defiant, fearless, whispering, asterisk, you did it, Mom. Asterisk.